The police often respond to calls regarding people that are unhoused, which you talked about, struggling with substance abuse and in mental health crisis. What alternatives would you propose to respond to these calls?
I know for a fact that the police also has a social worker available to them when they go on calls like this. I think that because you don't know what type of call you're going to, and I'm not just talking about somebody who's sleeping outside, I'm talking about somebody who might be in the middle of a mental health crisis, you're always going to need to send a police officer. But definitely getting a social worker, also having a paramedic, because you don't know if they have health issues on top of that. So I'd like to see that happen, engaging our paramedic staff, making sure that when these calls come in regarding unhoused people, that there is also a social worker available to go out on these police calls.
One thing that I've been talking about and has gotten some traction from different members in the community, including business owners, is community liaisons, downtown liaisons, Bear Creek liaisons. What does that entail? A liaison is somebody with the polos, basically security, walking up and down downtown, walking up and down Bear Creek on bikes, on segways, whatever it takes, and making contact, have that constant contact with those unhoused and seeing if they need help. And after a while, they're going to get to know them or they'll move along. So that's one way of limiting that interaction with police. But in order, if somebody's having a crisis and the social workers expanding those programs, we also need to build our police department with unsworn officers that can help address some of these calls instead of having an armed, sworn officer answer these calls.
Well, speaking as somebody who's been on hundreds of those calls, I have to say that I will disagree with that and say that a sworn officer needs to go to all those calls, because those scenes can change from relatively calm to out of control in a matter of seconds. They need to be partnered with somebody with experience in social work or mental health. And the paramedics who can be cross-trained into mental health, just like they done for decades in Santa Barbara, is a way to address that within the city. Now you have somebody who can make an intelligent decision on whether or not this person needs to go to a hospital, needs to go to Marie Green, or needs to have other services. But I have to say that it's important to have a sworn officer on these scenes. I wouldn't send a social worker there without some protection.
So I would say that I agree that we need more social workers. The reality is that police officers are not social workers. That's not what their training is. So having a social worker that knows how to deal with these situations like people struggling with substance abuse or having mental health issues, and knowing how to de-escalate these situations where we are able to help that individual going through a mental health episode or anything else. So what I would want to see is more social workers that are with the uniform officers, because as was said, sometimes these situations do go above the training of a social worker, and we would need any kind of support that they need in those situations.
First of all, Chief Stanfield's from Modesto, and serving there, Modesto PD has been able to create a great partnership between mental health clinicians and law enforcement to really address some of these calls that come in or concerns. One of the shortcomings in Modesto, though, is that they run 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So when you're on the weekend and there's someone having a crisis, there's no one available. Definitely seeing a humanitarian approach as we're moving forward in addressing someone in crisis, and having that connectivity to services. There definitely needs to be a partnership. And when we're looking at positions that are available within the police department, there's 91 positions currently filled out of the 94. Many of those are unsworn officers, but having an expansion of people who can address mental health is crucial, and that can be done also through community health workers.
When police do respond to the unhoused, they are bringing resources with them when it comes to mental health or drug issues. Bringing the social worker, that is a great initiative as well, because they're the ones that can administer what's really going on and how can we help this individual. What is it that they actually need? At the end of the day, you know, the county does oversee the unhoused programs, but we need to continue to be a great partner with them. And what resources do they need from us? And I mean, for myself, I'm always in communication with our county supervisors, and I'm talking to them about what are these trends that we're seeing on a city level, and how can you guys help us on the county level, because this really is a partnership with each other.
The Merced County Association of Governments oversees Merced's public transit system. How would you make public transportation more accessible for everyone?
So definitely looking at these partnerships and strengthening partnerships, increasing safe and walkable neighborhoods can definitely address some of the transportation needs in our community. What it really comes back down to, though, is community input on what these needs are. As the association is meeting, and as I was reading all the unmet needs over the years, the last one that was posted said there's no needs, and we clearly see that there is, as people are trying to connect to the different bus lines and making sure that they're running in hours or in that there's a really good time schedule for people to be able to make their destination on time. It takes 30 minutes to get from one edge of town to the next. I live right behind Rivera, and when I'm trying to go down to Rancho, for example, it takes about 30 minutes. So I have to plan it out and make sure that this connectivity is available.
Thank you. So MCAG, I'm a huge supporter of them. If you had the mayor here right now, he'll tell you how many times he's ridden the bus. But one thing that I am proud that they do is they offer these programs, like especially during the summer, they allowed people to ride for free. So they're looking at some of those initiatives of how can we get more people to utilize our buses to get around town. I know that they had programs for veterans, and they're also the ones who oversee yards, so that people in Merced can go to Yosemite and enjoy like our own national park in our backyard. I mean, our whole tagline for Merced is the gateway to Yosemite. So I mean, in conversations with them, of course, I'm going to let them know, like, hey, these are some of the issues that we're hearing, and we need to look into it. And I feel that we have a great partnership with MCAG. If I had it my way, would I have them bring in a trolley that brought UC Merced students directly to downtown Merced, and it had it running for Thursday to Sunday. So there's conversations that are going on, and I'm glad to have that partnership with them.
So during my time at UC Merced, I would take the bus to campus, and I live out here by the airport. And like Alex said, it took me maybe 40 minutes to go literally corner to corner in Merced. So I'm a fan of the bus. I think it's affordable and it's reliable. The issue I see that it's not convenient. When I can drive to campus in about 15 minutes instead of 40 minutes on the bus, I'm a drive. So making public transit more convenient for everyone, I think is the best way to make it accessible for everyone. The trolley idea that Councilmember Boyle mentioned, it's something that's already being done in Fresno, that connects Fresno State to the Tower District. We can do that here, but I wouldn't focus it just on UC students, but the community as a whole. If we need to go to a grocery store because we're not near one, I want to be able to go to the grocery store when it's convenient for me. So it's already reliable, it's affordable, we just need to make it convenient.
So I'll be honest, I haven't ridden the bus in Merced in a very, very long time, but I personally love public transportation. Whenever I get to a city where I don't have to drive, I love it. I love it. I just rather do it. New York, San Francisco, I'll take the Muni all day. And so we need to improve that. We need to get that mentality that we have some good lines here in Merced, but like some of the council members have said, some of the candidates have said, is that it does take a while to get to UC Merced. So we have to improve. One way we can do that, let's discuss Express at Long Beach State. One of the things that they did, if you were a Long Beach State student, you got to ride the bus for free. So let's do that for our UC Merced students. Let's add some express routes. So, and I think they might already do that. Forgive me if I don't know, but we have to, make sure that downtown and the different neighborhoods are accessible, not just the routes around the UC track bus. And I would really love to see more students in this area as well. And because UC students are Merced resident, they're not just UC students.
I would advocate for free transport if under a certain income level, or if you're a student. It's the ticket to the way to get to jobs, to services. You may even avoid calling an ambulance because you have no other way to get to health services. It's not like it's going to be taking away somebody's paying spot. There's openings there, and it's the right thing to do.
As a former employee of MCAG and the assistant transit manager of yards, I can let you know that transit is authorized by the Federal Transit Authority. Both of those are grant programs, and the majority of the grant is based on the ridership of those systems. We talk about these express buses. Well, Dial-A-Ride was eliminated, and in its place came microtransit for the bus. There are also free and reduced fares for the bus. So when we're looking at this, the question should be, we should be contacting our state and federal representatives to demand more funding to expand routes. That's the way to get more accessible transit. We also have CAT Tracks that serves the UC students and is free. There is a UC Merced route on the bus as well that is also free to UC Merced students. But the thing you need to do is understand that these are federally funded programs, and then to expand these routes, you have to go to the feds to get additional money.